Personally speaking, I have found the architecture of ScandiPWA to be the best to work with. A very good evening, everyone. My name is Joy. I'm from Codilar Technologies, Bangalore. I assume it's evening there. It's clearly evening here. And welcome to my presentation on this ScandiPWA summer meetup. Now, without wasting further time, let's get started. So the topic which I'm going to be presenting today is the Enamor's case study. And let me just tell you a little bit about Enamor before, in case you don't know. So Enamor is one of India's leading premium lingerie brands. And they already had a website which was built in Magento 1.9. And they wanted to revamp that sort of and fix a couple of issues which they were facing with their current website and move to a more modern approach. And recently, Codilar has built a PWA-based theme using ScandiPWA for Enamor, which we recently moved to live, I think around 2 to 3 months ago. And so what we did is we used a tool which Codilar has built on top of ScandiPWA, and we have built a couple of customizations on top of it, which we are calling NextPWA, which is NEXPWA. And we use that to build the Enamor's website, and that is the thing which I'm going to be presenting in front of you guys today. So before we jump into the technicalities of it, first let's see what the project's requirements were. So it's not really problems faced. It's more like what kind of expectations the client had, and they wanted us to follow through when building this or revamping this website. So the first thing is obviously, since it's an existing brand and it has a presence in the market, they wanted their existing branding principles to be followed throughout the website. So we could not do something like take a template and just build on top of it. We had to do some major level UI customizations, I would say. The second thing is that their current Magento 1 website was pretty slow on certain areas. So the reason for that is there were a lot of customizations and a lot of third-party extensions which they were using, which sometimes don't play nice together. And the final result was that in certain sections it was getting slower. So that is something which we had to keep in mind when revamping the website. The third thing is obviously, like the same goes as the point one, which is it's not just simple customizations in the UI. Almost all of the sections of UI needed to be customized to fit their current guidelines, and all the customizations which were already there on the M1 website which they were using need to be migrated properly and use the best principles in the Magento 2 system as well. Coming to point 4, so this is one of the key challenges, I would say, which we have faced, which is that all of the products, I guess more than 99% of the products which they had were configurable products, and not just any configurable products. The minimum configurations which I saw were 70. So 70 child products for one configurable product, one parent product. And maximum, I have written 200 here, but I think I have seen somewhere around 216 as one of the children as the children count for one of the parent configurable products. So a lot of products data needed to be come to the website, and it's okay for a product page, because a product page, it's essentially that product and a few other products if you're showing related products or something like that. But for listing pages, it was a huge challenge, because when you're showing like 12 to 16 products in a page and each product has 200 configurations, that's a huge challenge which we had to solve. The final point is that they had 200,000 plus visitors during some of the campaigns, and we had to keep all of these points in mind in order to build a system which can serve all of these customers or all of these potential customers, all of the data which they require in a very, let's say, a very fast or optimized way, so that the overall experience of the website becomes good. So that was some of the problems which we had faced. Now let's come to the solution. So the first thing which we had decided, obviously, is that we will go for a PWA solution, and some of the reasons which I have listed out of why are here. So one is obviously using a headless system, we can decouple the complexity. So the UI and the backend would be two separate concerns. And wherever we want UI customizations, we do the UI customizations with a separate team. Wherever we want backend customizations, we do backend customizations and just change the APIs. I mean, I'm not going into too much details, but it's always better to decouple your concerns. The front end and backend need not be merged together. That only makes things worse. So that is one thing which a PWA solution or a headless solution solves. Then we have the use of some PWA specific technologies, which we all know, like service workers. And in case of ScandiPWA, we have persistent queries, which is caching of the GraphQL queries. So these helped us a lot in speeding up the website. Then we have, since we're using GraphQL, the problem which we discussed of the configurable products was solved a lot, because we don't have to fetch all of the information of the children. Because let's take the example of the listing page. On the listing page, we only need the total, let's say color and size are the variations which most of their products have. So we only need to fetch how many colors and how many sizes there are. We don't need to fetch all the children's information of all the products, right? So that's very easy to do in GraphQL. We can just write separate resolvers to do it. I know Magento already has the GraphQLs for products and stuff ready, but we did some customizations on top of it to sort of do what I just discussed on the listing page. And that helped us a lot. The other thing which obviously helped us is that the product page, not only the product page, all of the pages. So whatever data we want can be loaded. Whatever the data which are absolutely required can be loaded immediately, and everything else can be done asynchronously on separate API requests. So an example would be that the review section of a product, it need not come immediately as the product page loads. It's okay if it comes a second after that. So we can sort of intelligently divide the page into asynchronous blocks, and we only render the things which we want in the first fold, and then slowly asynchronously load the remaining data. So that's something which we did heavily on most of the pages. And then obviously using a varnish proxy, and again, coming back to service workers, the overall load which initially came on the Magento servers was reduced a lot, because most of the queries of the listing page and product page was cached thanks to these persistent queries. And it was cached in Varnish, so we can just fetch it from Varnish directly. And due to service workers, some of the pages which the user visits frequently would be cached in their system itself. So that drastically reduced the load on the actual Magento server. Now coming to ScandiPWA. So we have a lot of different PWA solutions, I would say, for Magento out there on the market. Why did we choose to go with ScandiPWA? Again, I have worked with a lot of other solutions for Magento, for PWA solutions for Magento, or PWA themes rather for Magento. And personally speaking, I have found the architecture of ScandiPWA to be the best to work with in terms of learning curve, in terms of customizations, in terms of extendability. These are some of the points which comes to my mind. So anyway, let me just show you what I have listed down here. So the first thing is, since it is deployed as a Magento theme, so it's not a third party headless system which is running along with Magento and Synergy. It's like a separate, it's not separate. It's like the same system. And for Magento, it doesn't differentiate between a ScandiPWA theme and a normal Magento's Luma theme, for example. So we can sort of seamlessly integrate that as a Magento theme without needing any other Node.js based middlewares and other stuff, which resulted in the server architecture being pretty easy to maintain. The other thing is that the persistent queries, which again we discussed in the previous slide, the persistent queries allowed these complex GraphQL requests to be cached directly onto Varnish, so that the load on the server again is reduced a lot. So this was something which I could not find at that time in any other PWA solutions for Magento. So persistent queries are one of the major points which I would say led us to choose ScandiPWA. And also it was pretty much complete. So all of the features, add to cart, add to wish list, configurable products, group products, showing the colors and sizes on the listing page, the list goes on. All of the base Magento features which we've come to know and love, which is already there in Magento, and we sort of subconsciously want them to be in our PWA theme as well. I think in terms of that, ScandiPWA had most of the features which we wanted already there. We only had to do the UI level customizations. Not much logical changes needed to be done for the components. It was mostly UI based customizations on the React side, which was a good thing, obviously, for our team, since the the deadline was pretty tight for the project, considering the customizations which we had to do. Then we also have the concept of ScandiPWA's extensions, or which are, you can think of it in a way of extending the functionality and using reusable extensions, for the lack of a better word, which we can use on multiple projects. So things like payment gateways, things like Google Tag Manager integrations. We had extensions if either in the ScandiPWA's marketplace, or we built those extensions, which was pretty helpful for us, because now we can reuse these extensions in other projects. So stuff like payment gateways and stuff are mostly stuff which we can reuse in multiple projects itself. So the extensions were a pretty good plus point. And like I said in the beginning, the learning curve was pretty easy. One is, since it's built in React, and React.js, well, to Magento developers initially it would be a little bit complicated to grasp, but once you start getting into it, so if you are new into React, just this is for you. Basically, I was also new into React not too long ago, and personally speaking, I have used Vue.js, I have used Angular.js, and I have also used React.js. I personally find React.js to be the best in terms of getting things done quickly, or in other words, the learning curve is pretty easy when it comes to a framework built upon React.js. And yeah, so we used all of these principles, and we sort of solved all of these problems which we had using ScandiPWA and using NextPWA. And at the end, these are the results which I am proud to share with you guys. So first thing is, there is a 300% performance improvement, which is in a way expected, since we are moving into a PWA theme, which is like in that cutting edge territory. So performance improvement was expected, and it did happen as well. The resource hungry pages, which initially were pretty slow to load, now loaded completely and was interactive in under 4 seconds for all of the complicated pages like PLP and stuff. And during one of the campaigns, the total visitor count actually peaked at 335,000. And even though the server peaked at some points, but still the server was pretty easily able to manage all of these visitors, and we did not have any bottlenecks or any slowdowns during this campaign, which is again a good thing. We had a 13%, more or less a 13%. 13 is an unlucky number. I don't know why I wrote that, but yeah, I think based on the analytics, it was 13% decrease in the bounce rate, and the pages per session increased by 50%. And the most happy thing, or the most important thing, which we actually look for at the end of every project, is a happy client. And we got a happy client. And so at the end, everything went right, and we sort of moved the entire website from this cluttered Magento 1 system into a PW-based solution. Thank you. That was my presentation. This is my email, joy@codilar.com. If you want to shoot me up a question or just want to chat, just write me at this email, and I'll be sure to reply. Thank you so much.